Battlemage, spell sword, or whatever you want to call a character that fights with both melee weapons and spells. But the term is thrown around so often without really considering how much of the melee and magic aspect the build ends up doing. Allow me to explain by first taking a look at unique weapons that have weapon arts that scale to intelligence or faith. This is what we will look at to begin thinking about the Battlemage build I will introduce today. Of course, there are also weapons like the Clayman's Harpoon that are famous for their intelligence scaling. Coupled with some magic or cold weapon arts, there are plenty of choices for a Battlemage. But let's be honest, most of these weapons are solely used for their weapon arts. Just take the daggers as an example. Or people build intelligence builds and then slot slicer or piercer or both, and that's the melee aspect of the so-called Battlemage. Personally, I can see how that can count, but I don't find that to be actually very melee oriented. It feels like a sorcerer with a melee spell tacked on. Take two examples, the Wing of Astel and Moonveil. While the curved swords and katana movesets aren't bad, are you really using these weapons for their movesets, or are you using them for their weapon arts? And unique heavy attack in Astel's case as well, of course. So today, I want to introduce to you a build that I think feels more Battlemage in the sense that you have a robust melee aspect with spells that help you out. I am going to optimize the Sword of Night and Flame, which I will abbreviate as SONAF from now on, for both PVE and PvP, starting with the PVE. To be more precise, we will be using two SONAFs. Don't worry if you don't want to go into NG+, don't have anyone to drop you a second SONAF, or don't play on PC with the Collector's Edition. You can use the Broadsword, which is about the same length as the SONAF, on either the Magic, Flame, or Sacred Infusion on your offhand. One thing about Power Stance Straight Swords is that it has a very strong Power Stance neutral and jump attack, which means that you can be very effective with the melee moveset alone. But using the SONAF, we are able to gain access to either sorceries or incantations and its weapon art. If we had to choose sorceries or incantations for the build, which should we choose? I won't be using both because it is annoying on the scroll wheel, and you also need two catalysts when you are already going to be power stancing straight swords very often. For one, with the 45 intelligence and faith distribution, staffs are quite bad without significant amounts of stat points. The Golden Order seal scales much better. Even though seals tend to have less spell power, you can see the Golden Order seal easily outdoing its staff counterparts at this investment level by a large margin. Secondly, SONAF is tri-scaled with physical, fire, and magic damage. This means that having access to Golden Vow is really nice, as this incantation buffs all damage sources by 15% in PvE, and also grants you additional damage negation, which we can make use of. Plus, you get to play with the Golden Order incantations, which you usually won't get to because of the unique stat distribution. While they do holy damage, so aren't great against endgame bosses, you have your SONAF to take care of that for you. You're mostly going to be using these incantations for AoE and defeating weaker enemies. Alright, here's the full build. Power Stance Straight Swords works really well with the Godskin Swaddling Cloth. Combine this with the Blessing of the Earth Tree and Golden Vow, and you can fight for a long time, even while taking damage. Power Stance Straight Swords have a strong Power Stance jump attack and neutral Power Stance attack, which has quite the step in, so actually covers quite the distance. Because of the multi-hit nature, without being a light weapon class, you can proc the Swaddling Cloth quite easily. If you want to, you can also use the Raptor's Black Feathers for additional jump attack damage. But the follow-up attack on the jump attack does not count as a jump attack, so you don't actually get a whole lot out of this armor, especially because you're sacrificing a lot of negation to use this one. Astrologer is our best base class. For the build, I put the 6 extra stat points into mine for convenience's sake, but you can also add them to either Faith or Intelligence, up until the 50 point soft cap for more damage, or into Vigor for more tankiness. Another thing is if you want to use a shield because you're not very used to a super aggressive playstyle like the Power Stance Straight Swords, keep the strength requirements in mind. These 3 medium shields are probably your best bet, and you would hold the seal in your main hand instead, so you don't need to tap through 3 items on your offhand. Next, a big selling point of SONAF is its weapon art, which is definitely quite strong on both versions. The Intelligence version deals a tad bit more damage and is longer, while the Faith version is much wider and covers a deceptively larger area than you would expect. I find that having a flexible option instead of investing into 80 points of intelligence or faith is much better, as the damage on the weapon arts doesn't really scale that well past the 50 points investment mark. Having a long and wide option allows me to properly respond to bosses when they are far away or dodge sideways. I can also always rely on the power stance straight swords moveset at close range as well, making me feel like a legit battle mage. Since we're here already, I also want to quickly touch upon why Soulnav isn't typically used in PvP. Firstly, the weapon has tri-elements, meaning that it goes through defense thrice. It also means that you kind of have to split your investment into intelligence and faith. People much prefer the very meta-coded swords, which is longer, lighter, and more streamlined in its stat investment. That doesn't mean you can't have fun with a Soulnav in PvP, as the unique intelligence and faith requirement grants you access to incantations like the Triple Rings of Light and Radagon's Ring of Light, which you don't normally get. The triple rings can cover large areas or shot at your feet for a quicker return and area control. It works really well in the new multiplayer Colosseums, which allows AoE skills to shine. You are also more likely to land Soulnav's weapon art, which you won't usually get to do in 1v1. Personally, I don't like the Radagon's Ring of Light, so I'll use Wrath of Gold instead. Here's the PvP build if you want to use the PvE fashion, with a few talisman tweaks. However, you can also go for a heavier build like this one instead, for 101 poise. I also really like the way this set looks. Let's take a look at some 3v3 gameplay. I'm still new to 3v3s, but it's fun so far. Nice, strafing left allowed the Rings of Light to hit him. You definitely don't want to spam Soulnav's weapon art, but knowing when to use them can catch your opponents off guard. This would honestly be a good place to Rings of Light too, but I'm gonna power stance straight sword. Our moveset is just really solid. And here I'm gonna spam some rings. Okay, there's only one left, so we don't really need much, but as you see there, Rings of Light has a lot of area coverage, plus it also comes back and hits you in the return trip. For 3v3s, you kind of have to be a bit more aware of your surroundings. So because sometimes people can punish you with some really heavy attacks like I guess bolt of Grand Sacks and stuff like that. AoEs also work much better because you can force more than one person to dodge you. And we're gonna go help our teammate because I didn't see him around for a while. We won't let him heal. And killing gives you flask in 3v3. Okay, we're gonna snipe this as support because we can't reach them in time and it's too long for Soulnav's weapon art. We'll come here in 1v1 here. I think we're winning on the score, so pushing for 1v1 matches, pushing for 1v1 is fine for me because I'm pretty sure I can win the match. Let's see. Nice, got him. Okay, that's fine. We have our flask, so just a bit of HP damage is perfectly okay. Oops. Okay, if he's gonna endure, we're gonna roll away and heal. Okay, let's punish this. Oh, okay. At least it's the mace, so it won't hurt that much. 1v2 here, but they're both melee oriented. Okay, that was a bad call. I shouldn't have rings. I was thinking 1v2, so AoE, but yeah, he was too close. Okay, we can spam here. Once again, just for area coverage, triple rings is honestly a very great incantation. The only problem is the intelligence requirement for most people. Okay, we don't have HP flask here, so we kind of have to really watch out. My physic procced for the HP. Okay, we'll punish this flask drink. And we're gonna be careful here and punish the flaming strike because I want the flask. No reason just charging in and dying. Oh, we can just poke this at long range. There we go. Let's help our teammate here. Perfect. Just straight trading, it's very hard to beat straight swords. It's very hard to beat straight swords, as you can see. Ah, too bad. A bit more. We can just chip him with triple rings, I think. It'll be hard for him to dodge everything. Nice. Once again, support our teammate and forcing enemies to dodge. You kind of also want to be aware, like there's 2 enemies here, so there's 1 behind me. Okay, I'm gonna soul nap. I think at least one of them will not expect its distance. Oh, we actually hit both. That's like 2k damage, pretty much 1 kill right there. Well, I kinda expected one of them to get hit, but not both. You can angle the rings downwards even if you're targeting, so the rings come back faster. And yeah, 3v3 is pretty fun. I'll definitely be doing more of this. Like and subscribe, and if you enjoyed the content, consider buying my fantasy novel in the description down below, which will allow you to request a topic. See you next time.